In the heart of Brooklyn, where the brownstones whispered secrets of old New York, stood Elena Vasquez's photo restoration studio. It was a crisp October morning in 2026, the kind where fog clung to the streets like a reluctant ghost. Elena, a 34-year-old Latina artist with sharp eyes and hands steady as a surgeon's, sipped her black coffee while sorting through the morning's mail. Her studio, timeless frames, had become a haven for families unearthing heirlooms from attics and forgotten trunks. She had restored Civil War daguerreotypes, Vietnam-era snapshots, even a Polaroid from the moon landing era. But nothing prepared her for the package that arrived that day. It was unmarked except for a return address in Asheville, North Carolina, the Blue Ridge Mountains, land of moonshiners and mountain folklore. The box was heavy, wrapped in yellowed butcher paper tied with twine that smelled faintly of cedar and damp earth. Elena sliced it open with her X-Acto knife, revealing a velvet pouch inside, cradling a single framed photograph. No note, no letter, just the image staring back at her like it had been waiting a century to be seen. She lifted it under her OttLight lamp, the cool LED mimicking natural daylight. The photo was sepia-toned, edges curled and cracked like ancient parchment. Water stains bloomed across the bottom and scratches marred the faces, but the composition was striking. A family of 6 posed on the porch of a weathered Appalachian cabin, circa 1922, judging by the faded inscription on the back. Ridge family, summer 22, Black Hollow. A stern father in suspenders, a mother with a bonnet, 4 children lined up like soldiers. But it was the youngest child, a boy of about 5 sitting cross-legged on the steps, that made Elena's breath hitch. His face. It wasn't right. Not in a grotesque way, but impossible. One eye was deep brown, the other a piercing ice blue that seemed to glow against his dark skin. A stark white streak sliced through his coal-black hair, like a bolt of lightning frozen in place. His features were slightly asymmetrical, wide-set eyes, a subtle droop to one eyelid. Traits that screamed genetic anomaly. Elena zoomed in with her loupe. This wasn't damage. This was deliberate clarity beneath the grime. Who was this kid? In 1922, rural Appalachia, a black child with such features would have been a spectacle, a freak to some, a witch child to others. Elena snapped high-res digital scans, her software humming to life. She was no geneticist, but years of restoration had taught her patterns. This looked like Waardenburg syndrome, heterochromia, white forelock, dystopia canthorum, first described in the 1950s. How did a 1920s photo capture it so perfectly? And why did the boy's gaze feel alive? She shook her head. Jet lag from her recent trip to Oaxaca, that's all. 3 hours later, the basic restoration was done. Cracks filled, stains lifted, faces sharpened. The family came into focus. The father, Elias Ridge, blacksmith by trade. Mother, Lila, with haunted eyes. Older siblings looking dutifully serious. And little Jonah, the boy, smiling faintly as if he knew a secret. Elena emailed the sender, an address scribbled faintly on the box. hollowhyroprotonmail.com. Restoration complete. Who is this family? Remarkable features on the youngest. No reply. That night, alone in her loft above the studio, Elena couldn't sleep. She pinned the printout to her wall next to her abuela's old rosary. As thunder rumbled outside, unusual for October, she swore she heard a whisper, faint like wind through pines. Find me before it takes another. She bolted upright. Imagination. But when she checked her security cam later, the timestamp showed a shadow flickering near the photo at 2:17 a.m. No one had keys but her. The next morning, her phone buzzed. Unknown caller. Asheville area code. Ms. Vasquez, this is Marcus Hollow. The photo. You saw him, didn't you? Jonah. My great-granduncle. Don't send it back yet. There's more. Meet me in Black Hollow, tomorrow. It's starting again. Elena's pulse raced. Starting what? Who are you? A pause, heavy as mountain fog. The curse. The eyes that see too much. Jonah's eyes. They run in the family. And now they're in mine. Marcus arrived at her studio that afternoon. A wiry man in his 40s, skin weathered like old leather. Eyes, God, his eyes, one brown, one blue. Wardenberg. He clutched a leather satchel, face etched with fear. My grandmother sent the photo from Asheville before she died last week. Heart attack at 82, but she whispered to me, Elena will see, only she can stop it. How did she know your name? Elena showed him the restored image. Marcus's hand trembled. Jonah vanished in 1928, age 11. They said he drowned in Black Creek, but no body. Folks said he was cursed. Eyes of the devil, hair marked by lightning. His sightings after whispers in the woods. Then my great-aunt Lila II, same features, died young in 55. Car wreck, but brakes cut. My Uncle Theo, 1970s, suicide. Note saying, the eyes watch. Now, Grandma Ruth, all with the mark. He opened the satchel, spilling yellowed letters, a lock of hair with white streak, a silver locket engraved, J.R. 1922. The family stayed in Black Hollow, mining town gone ghost after the Depression. Cabin burned in 29, but photo survived. Grandma thought it was junk till she saw my eyes, same as Jonah. She researched, found old medical journals, Wardenberg syndrome, genetic. But there's more. Jonah's journal, scraps, talks of visions, seeing deaths before they happen. The blue eye sees the hollow's secret. Elena leaned in. Visions, like premonitions. Marcus nodded grimly. Grandma had them too. Warned me of accidents, fires. Last week she saw her own. Black shadow with blue eyes. Said, send the photo to the restorer in Brooklyn. She'll understand the face. Intrigue gnawed at Elena. Her own family had whispers. Abuela spoke of ojos que ven in old Mexico. Eyes that cursed or blessed. Why me? Your website restored a cursed portrait from Salem last year. Ghosts don't scare you. She hadn't publicized that. The Salem job involved a 1692 witch trial photo where faces shifted in scans. Turned out to be emulsion tricks, but the client's stories chilled her. Okay, I'll come to Black Hollow. But if this is a hoax, no hoax. Last night I saw it too. In the mirror, Jonah's face over mine, whispering, one more, or all. As Marcus left, Elena stared at the photo. Jonah's blue eye seemed to wink. That night, dreams came. Misty mountains. A boy running through pines, shadows chasing. She woke sweating, phone buzzing. Proton mail reply. Come quick, the hollow hungers. By dawn, Elena was packed. Laptop, scanner, EMF meter from her ghost jobs, Abuela's rosary. Driving south on I-81, Appalachians rising like jagged teeth, she felt watched. Billboards faded to Visit Black Hollow, Ghost Town tours. Her GPS glitched near the exit. Warning, hollow signal lost. The road twisted into fog-shrouded hollers, cell service dead. Black Hollow appeared. Derelict shacks, overgrown cemetery, creek murmuring like voices. Marcus waited at a rusted gate, beside a cabin rebuilt from charred beams, the Ridge home, restored by family. Welcome to the curse, he said. Inside, candlelight flickered over a table of artifacts. Jonah's journal pages. Family Bible with deaths circled in red. A 1955 Polaroid of Aunt Lila II. Same eyes, crashed car in background. Jonah wrote this before vanishing, Marcus said, handing a brittle page. Aug 15, 1928. The blue eye showed me Pa's death. Mine fall tomorrow. The hollow men want the marked ones. They dig too deep. Clara knows. Hide the secret. Eyes see all. Clara, family midwife, died 1930. Healed with herbs. saw spirits. Her grave's up the hill. Elena scanned the journal. References to the mine's heart. Black Hollow had coal seams laced with quartz. Witch veins locals said glowed blue. Miners reported visions, madness. Jonah's visions pinpointed cave-ins, but owners ignored a cursed boy. A chill wind rattled windows. Marcus froze. "Hear that?" Whispers. "Restore. The truth. Blue Eye sees." From the photo on the wall, Elena grabbed her gear. "We're digging deeper. Tonight we visit Clara's grave." But as moon rose, her EMF spiked, and in the creek reflection, Jonah's face stared back, smiling. The drive to Willow Creek took longer than Ethan expected. The highway stretched endlessly through cornfields that swayed like golden waves under the late afternoon sun. But as they turned onto the county road, the landscape shifted. The fields gave way to dense thickets of pine and oak, the trees crowding close to the asphalt as if guarding secrets. Willow Creek wasn't on most maps, just a scattering of homes and a single main street with a diner, a gas station, and a post office that doubled as the town hall. Population: 1,247, according to the faded sign at the edge of town. Ethan gripped the steering wheel tighter, glancing at Lily in the passenger seat. She stared out the window, her fingers tracing patterns on the glass, the same swirling shapes she'd been drawing since they left the city. "You okay?" he asked, keeping his voice light. She nodded absently. "It's quiet here. Too quiet." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it carried an edge that made Ethan's stomach twist. Lily had always been sensitive, the kind of kid who felt things deeply, who could sense a storm coming hours before the clouds gathered. But this was different. Ever since the night at the farmhouse, she'd been distant. Like part of her was still back there, listening to whispers no one else could hear. They pulled into the driveway of the Willow Creek house, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple. The property was everything the realtor had promised. A 2-story Victorian with wraparound porch, white siding that gleamed under the porch light, and a backyard that sloped down to the creek the town was named for. But up close, Ethan noticed the details. Peeling paint on the eaves, a shutter hanging crookedly, ivy creeping up the foundation, like fingers trying to pull the house back into the earth. "This is it," Sarah said, stepping out of the rental car with Mia on her hip. The baby cooed, oblivious to the chill in the air. "Home, sweet temporary home." Ethan forced a smile. "Looks perfect. Let's get settled." Inside, the house smelled of polished wood and faint lavender, the scent of fresh linens and the cleaning service the owners had hired. The realtor had left a basket of local jams and a bottle of wine on the kitchen island, along with a note. "Welcome to Willow Creek. Enjoy your stay, and watch out for the creek after dark. It has a mind of its own." Sarah laughed it off as small-town charm, but Ethan tucked the note into his pocket. He didn't believe in superstitions, but after the farmhouse he wasn't taking chances. They unpacked quickly, claiming bedrooms on the second floor. Lily picked the smallest one at the back, overlooking the creek. "I like the water," she said simply when Ethan asked why. He let it go. Dinner was pizza from the diner down the street. Greasy pepperoni and extra cheese, the kind of comfort food that made new places feel less foreign. They ate at the dining table, the chandelier above casting flickering shadows from its antique bulbs. Conversation flowed easily at first. Sarah talking about her new remote job, Ethan joking about his genius inventor phase with the drone footage, the girls giggling over silly stories. But as the slices disappeared, Lily grew quiet. She pushed her food around her plate, her eyes fixed on the window behind Ethan. The creek was visible from the table, its surface glassy black in the twilight, reflecting the first stars. "What do you see out there, Bug?" Sarah asked gently. Lily tilted her head. They're waiting. Ethan's fork paused midway to his mouth. Who's waiting? The ones from before, the ones who don't sleep. She said it matter-of-factly, like commenting on the weather, then picked up her pizza and took a bite. Silence fell over the table. Sarah shot Ethan a look, the don't freak out look, but he could see the worry in her eyes. Probably just tired from the drive, she said brightly. Bedtime for everyone. Tucking the girls in went smoothly enough. Mia was out like a light, clutching her stuffed bear. Lily took longer, staring at the ceiling as Ethan read her a chapter from her favorite book about a girl who could talk to animals. Promise you'll stay close tonight, she murmured as he kissed her forehead. Always, he whispered. Sarah was already in their bedroom when Ethan slipped in, scrolling through her phone. She's just processing, Sarah said without looking up. Kids have big imaginations. Yeah, Ethan agreed, sliding under the covers. But sleep didn't come easy. The house creaked with the settling of old wood, and from downstairs he swore he heard the faint rush of the creek, louder than it should be, like it was flowing right through the walls. He must have dozed off eventually, because the next thing he knew, Sarah was shaking him awake. Ethan, listen. The clock on the nightstand read 2:17 a.m. The room was pitch black, the kind of darkness that presses against your eyelids. But there was a sound, rhythmic, insistent, thump, 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 like footsteps on the stairs. Ethan sat up, heart pounding. Probably the house settling. Sarah shook her head. It's too steady, too deliberate. They waited, holding their breath. Thump, thump, pause, thump. Slower now, ascending. Ethan's mind raced back to the farmhouse, the scratching, the cold breath on his neck. He grabbed his phone, turning on the flashlight. The beam cut through the gloom, illuminating the bedroom door, which was ajar. Stay here, he whispered, but Sarah was already up, pulling on her robe. Together, they crept into the hallway, the floorboards groaning under their weight. Lily's door was closed, Mia's too. The footsteps had stopped, but now there was something else. A low humming, like distant voices murmuring in unison. It was coming from downstairs. Ethan led the way, phone light sweeping the stairs. Each step felt like a mile, the air growing colder with every descent. In the living room, the curtains billowed slightly, though no windows were open. The humming grew louder, forming words he couldn't quite make out. Or maybe he didn't want to. Sarah, get the kids, he hissed. But before she could move, Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, her nightlight casting eerie shadows on her face. Daddy, they're in the basement. Ethan's blood ran cold. Lily, go back to bed. She didn't move. The door's open. They want you to come down. Sarah scooped her up. What door? Lily pointed toward the kitchen, the one that wasn't there before. Ethan's light swung to the kitchen doorway. There, where a pantry should be, was a narrow wooden door, rough-hewn, with an iron latch that looked rusted from years of disuse. He was sure it hadn't been there earlier. The realtor's tour had shown a coat closet in that spot. The humming peaked, then cut off abruptly. Silence crashed in, heavy and expectant. Ethan approached the door, Sarah clutching Lily behind him. The latch was cold under his fingers, unnaturally so. He hesitated, then lifted it. The door swung open on silent hinges, revealing a staircase, descending into blackness. Dank air wafted up, smelling of earth and decay, and something sweeter, like overripe fruit. Don't, Sarah whispered, but Lily wriggled free, peering down. They're singing now, for you. Ethan shone his light into the void. The stairs ended at a dirt floor, walls lined with shelves of dusty jars, preserves maybe from the house's previous owners. In the center of the room stood a wooden table, and on it, something glinted. A small antique mirror, its frame carved with twisting vines. Against his better judgment, Ethan descended. The steps creaked under his weight, each one echoing unnaturally loud. At the bottom, he picked up the mirror. It was heavier than it looked, the glass cloudy but intact. As he tilted it, his reflection stared back, but not quite. His eyes were wrong, too wide, the pupils dilated like black holes. A hand grabbed his shoulder. "Sarah." "Ethan, we need to go. Now." He nodded, pocketing the mirror. But as they climbed back up, Lily whispered, "You took their gift. Now they know you." The door swung shut behind them with a click, vanishing seamlessly into the wall as if it had never been. Ethan blinked, rubbing his eyes. The pantry was back, shelves of canned goods, brooms in the corner. No door, no stairs. "What the hell?" Sarah breathed. Ethan pulled out the mirror. His reflection was normal now. But in the corner of the glass, just for a split second, something moved. A shadow, tall and thin, with eyes like Lily's drawings. They barricaded the kitchen door with the table and didn't sleep the rest of the night. Morning brought deceptive normalcy. Sunlight streamed through the windows, birds chirped by the creek, and the girls played in the yard while Sarah brewed coffee. Ethan examined the mirror in daylight. It looked ordinary. Antique, sure, but nothing special. No carvings, no anomalies. He must have imagined it. Probably just a panic dream, he told himself, slipping it into his duffel bag for safekeeping. He'd research it later, maybe find out if the house had history. Sarah suggested a walk into town to shake off the jitters. Willow Creek's main street was postcard perfect. The diner with its neon sign buzzing faintly, the gas station where an old man pumped fuel by hand, the post office with its flag snapping in the breeze. They grabbed donuts at the diner where the waitress, a stout woman named Mabel with laugh lines etched deep, chatted amiably. "First time in Willow Creek?" she asked, sliding plates across the counter. "Yeah, just visiting," Sarah said. "Loving the quiet." Mabel's smile faltered. "Quiet's what we got plenty of, especially at night. Creek talks sometimes, you know. Best not to listen too close." Ethan chuckled. "Local legend." Her eyes sharpened. "Not legend, history. Back in the 1800s, this town was built on old ground. Shawnee land, some say cursed. Folks went missing by the creek, lured by the singing, they claimed. Then the mirror folk came." "Mirror folk," Lily piped up, crumbs on her chin. Mabel leaned over the counter, voice dropping. "Travelers, passed through with odd trinkets, mirrors that showed things not there. They traded for favors, but nothing's free. You hear singing from the creek. Don't answer. And if you find a mirror that wasn't yours, leave it." Ethan felt the weight in his bag like a stone. "Thanks for the tip. Donuts are great." They left quickly, the bell jingling behind them. Sarah squeezed his hand. "Small-town ghost stories. Ignore it." But Lily tugged at Ethan's shirt. "She knows about them, the ones waiting." Back at the house, Ethan fired up his laptop while Sarah took the girls to the creek for supervised play. He searched Willow Creek mirrors and Shawnee curse. Nothing solid, just forum posts about haunted houses, urban legends about vanishing hitchhikers. Then he typed Mirror Folk History. A hit. An old digitized newspaper from 1892. Traveling peddlers spotted in Willow Creek, offering mirrors said to reveal fortunes. Locals warn of vanishings after trades. Shawnee elders claim spirits trapped in glass. Ethan scrolled, heart racing. Another article, 1925. Girl found by creek after 3 days, babbling about eyes in the water that sang her name. Mirror found shattered nearby. He slammed the laptop shut as Sarah returned, faces flushed. Girls had fun skipping stones. But Lily said the water, whispered her name. Ethan showed her the articles. This isn't coincidence. Sarah paled. We leave tomorrow. But as dusk fell, the power flickered. Outside, the creek's murmur grew. Not water, but voices. Faint at first, then clearer. Ethan, look, see. Lily burst into the kitchen, eyes wide. They're here, from the mirror. Ethan grabbed the duffel, but the mirror was gone. In its place on the kitchen table sat Lily's sketchpad. Every page filled with the same face, his face, but twisted, eyes swirling like whirlpools. And from the creek, the singing swelled, calling them down. That night, barricades forgotten, Ethan stood at the back door, staring at the water. Shadows moved beneath the surface, not fish but shapes, humanoid, pressing up as if trapped. One broke the surface, a hand, pale and elongated, beckoning. Sarah pulled him back. Don't! But Lily was already outside, standing at the bank. They're family, she said. They want to show us. Ethan lunged for her, but the ground trembled. The creek rose, unnatural, lapping at the yard. In the water's reflection, he saw them. Dozens of figures, faces pressed against an invisible glass, mouths open in silent song. Then Lily turned, her eyes reflecting the same swirl. Daddy, look closer. He did, and in her gaze he saw himself, not as he was, but as he could be. Pale skin, elongated limbs, eyes like endless voids. The singing peaked. Join us. See true. Ethan blinked, and Lily was normal again. The creek receded, but in his pocket, the mirror reappeared. Warm now, pulsing. Upstairs, Mia cried out. They rushed to her room, finding her crib empty. The window open, curtains whipping in a wind that carried the creek's voice. One for the mirror, one for the deep. Panic surged. They searched the house, calling her name. Footsteps, thump, thump, from the basement. The door was back. Ethan descended alone this time, light shaking. Mia lay on the dirt floor, giggling at the jars. But the shelves were full of mirrors now, each reflecting a different nightmare. Sarah, drowning. Lily twisted, himself, dissolving into water. He scooped Mia up, fleeing as the mirrors shattered one by one, glass raining like tears. Back upstairs, door gone again, they huddled in the living room. Dawn was hours away. The creek sang louder, promises of truth, of family. Ethan clutched the mirror. We destroy it. But as he raised it to smash, his reflection whispered, Wait, see what Willow Creek hides. And against his will, he looked. Maya and Grace pushed through the heavy oak doors of the Charleston County Public Library. The air inside, thick with the scent of aged paper and polished wood. The archives section was tucked away in the basement, a dimly lit warren of shelves stacked floor to ceiling with boxes of forgotten records. Frederick, the elderly librarian with wire-rimmed glasses and a perpetual squint, greeted them with a nod. Back for more on Sarah and Clara. I've pulled what I could find overnight. Nursing school rosters from the 1920s, health department logs, even some old newspapers from the Colored Messenger. They settled at a long oak table under flickering fluorescent lights, spreading out the yellowed documents like pieces of a puzzle. Grace's fingers trembled slightly as she opened the first folder, a brittle admission ledger from the Cannon Street Hospital and Training School for Nurses. Her eyes scanned the handwritten entries until they locked on a name. Here, she whispered, sliding the page toward Maya. Sarah Johnson, admitted September 1922, sponsored by Clara Bennett. Graduated May 1925 with honors. Maya leaned in, her photographer's eye catching the faded ink. Below Sarah's name was a note. Exceptional aptitude in patient care, despite unique physical presentation. Unique physical presentation. The polite clinical way of saying Sarah's heterochromia and white forelock had raised eyebrows even among the school's administrators. They knew she was different, Maya said softly, but she still excelled. Frederick returned with a stack of employment records from the Charleston Health Department. Black nurses didn't have many options back then, he explained, his voice low as if sharing a secret. Segregation meant they served only colored communities. Home visits, births, fevers, no hospitals for them. Sarah worked the east side, roughest part of town. Tuberculosis, malnutrition, you name it. The records painted a picture of relentless work. Sarah Johnson, RN, assigned 1926-1952, monthly salary, $45, rising to $72 by 1940. Hundreds of visits logged, deliveries, vaccinations, emergency treatments. One entry stood out, dated 1932. S. Johnson treated family of 5 for suspected poisoning. Child recovered fully, commended for persistence. Grace traced the line with her finger. Poisoning, in 1932, what was that about? As they dug deeper, a chill settled over the table. Frederick wheeled out a cart of microfilm reels from the Charleston Messenger, the black-owned paper that chronicled the community's triumphs and tragedies. They fed the first reel into the reader, the machine whirring to life with a mechanical hum. Grainy headlines flickered by, lynchings averted, church fundraisers, baseball leagues. Then, in the July 1925 edition, a grainy photo of a graduating class of nurses. Sarah stood third from the left, her nurse's cap perched perfectly, one eye catching the light in a way that even poor print couldn't hide. The caption read, "Cannon Street's finest, ready to heal our community." But it was the article beside it that made Grace gasp. "Local nurse overcomes adversity," the subhead declared. The piece praised Sarah's striking appearance and steadfast spirit, hinting at rumors she'd faced mockery during training. Some whispered of curses or spirits in her mismatched gaze, it noted delicately. But Miss Johnson's skill silenced all doubters. Maya scrolled further, the microfilm clicking past years. In 1928, an obituary for Clara Bennett. Beloved midwife, healer to hundreds, passed peacefully at 58, survived by many adopted children, including protege Sarah Johnson. No mention of family. Clara had poured her life into the community. But tucked in the condolences was a curious classified ad from the same issue. Lost. Silver locket with unusual lock of hair. Reward for return to CB inquiries at East Side Mission. Grace frowned. A locket with hair? Like Sarah's white forelock? The real intrigue came in 1935, a front-page story. Mystery illness grips East Side. 2 families struck by a wasting sickness. Fever, white patches on the skin, eyes turning milky. Doctors baffled, calling it the pallor plague. Sarah was quoted, "It's no curse, but something in the water or shadows. Trust the remedies of old." 3 victims survived, the rest didn't. The paper speculated on bad moonshine or voodoo, but Sarah's name appeared repeatedly, credited with the recoveries using Clara's herbal blends. Maya felt a prickle on her neck. This sounds like more than medicine. White patches, milky eyes, echoes of Sarah's condition, but worse. Frederick cleared his throat, sliding over a locked box he'd retrieved from the restricted section. This one's not cataloged publicly. Founded in Clara's effects after donation. Journal supplement, post 1928. He unlocked it with a small key from his chain. Inside lay a slim notebook, its leather cover cracked, pages filled with Clara's precise script, but erratic, as if written in haste. The entries began innocuously, recipes for tonics, birth logs, but by 1930 the tone shifted. Sarah sees things others don't. Her eyes pierce the veil. Last night she woke screaming of a woman in white at the window. No one there, but the air turned cold. Grace read aloud from 1932, her voice dropping. The poisoning was no accident. Sarah found roots in the well, nightshade, twisted with something darker, not natural. She burned them under moonlight and the vision stopped, but the shadow lingers. Maya's pulse quickened. Visions, shadows. This blurred the line between healing and something unspoken. The final entry, dated 1928, chilled them. Sarah asked about her birth. I told her the truth as much as I could. Her mother drank from the spring that night, the one the elders warn against. Cursed waters or gift from beyond? Her eyes hold both. Must protect her from those who hunt the marked. Frederick shifted uncomfortably. Folks whispered Clara dabbled in root work, conjure, hoodoo. Not evil, but powerful. Sarah inherited that sight, they said. Helped her nurse, but drew eyes. As they pored over the journal, a pattern emerged. Sketches of symbols, eyes with mismatched pupils, white streaks like hair. References to the Watchers, figures who trailed Sarah on night calls. One page listed names. Families saved, but crossed out if they turned away after glimpsing her eyes up close. They see too much, Clara wrote. Fear what stares back. Grace closed the notebook, her face pale. This explains the gaps in family stories. Sarah wasn't just different, she was touched by something, and Clara knew. Outside, rain pattered against the library windows, the basement feeling smaller, shadows longer. Maya photographed every page, her camera flashed stark against the gloom. But as she zoomed in on one sketch, a crude drawing of a woman with one blue eye, one brown, standing over a cradle, a flicker caught her lens. For a split second, the image seemed to move, the drawn figure's gaze locking onto the camera. She blinked, checked the shot. Just a glare. But her skin crawled. That night, back at Grace's bungalow, they spread the finds across the dining table. Grace brewed strong coffee, her hands steady now with purpose. Sarah became a nurse because Clara pushed her. But these visions, they made her effective. She saw illnesses before symptoms, poisons before they spread. Maya nodded, pulling up her digital scans. Look at this 1940 health log. Sarah predicted a typhoid outbreak. Diverted water sources days before cases appeared. No explanation, just instinct. A knock echoed through the house, sharp in the quiet night. Grace opened the door to Dorothy, the elderly woman from the cemetery, clutching a damp umbrella. Heard you were digging into Sarah. Couldn't sleep, thought you'd want this. She handed over a faded envelope. My mama's letter from 1949. Sarah brought it after delivering me. The letter inside was in Sarah's hand. Little Dorothy thrives. Her eyes clear now, but watch the shadows at dusk. They seek the marked ones. Clara taught me the wards, salt at thresholds, sage in the cradle. Use them. Dorothy's eyes misted. Mama said Sarah murmured prayers over me. Ones Clara taught, old words African-tinged. Felt a wind in the room, cold as winter. Next day I breathed easier. Grace hugged her. Thank you. This ties it together. As Dorothy left, Maya stared at the letter. The ink shimmered oddly under the lamp. Grace, these wards. Protection from what? Grace met her gaze. Whatever marked Sarah at birth. The journal hints at a spring. Cursed waters. Tomorrow we find it. Sleep evaded Maya that night. In her guest room, the walls creaked like whispers. She dreamed of mismatched eyes staring from shadows. A white-haired woman beckoning toward rippling water. She woke, gasping, the air heavy, a faint scent of sage lingering. Morning brought clarity, and a lead. Frederick called. Found a map in Clara's box, marks a spring on the old East Side plantation ruins. Abandoned since 1900. Locals call it Whispering Well. Avoid at night. Grace grinned fiercely. We're going. Sarah's secret is there. They drove out as thunder rumbled, the road winding through overgrown lots where shacks once stood. The ruins emerged, crumbling brick walls choked by vines. A stone-ringed well half hidden in brush. Peering down, Maya saw only darkness. water glinting far below like a pale eye. Grace tossed in a pebble. Ripples echoed unnaturally long, forming faint patterns. Eyes staring up. A twig snapped behind them. They spun to see an old man in overalls, shotgun slung over his shoulder. "Y'all shouldn't be here. That well's bad luck. Took folks' sanity back in Clara's day. She pulled things from it. Roots that healed, but twisted ones that cursed." He eyed Grace. "You kin to the nurse with angel eyes. She came here once, 1930s. Left shaking, muttering wards. Said the water watches." Maya's heart raced. "Watches for what?" "The marked, like her. Draws 'em in, gives gifts, or takes." He spat and walked away, leaving them alone with the well's silent stare. Back home, piecing it together. Clara's journal, the spring, Sarah's visions. The genetic anomaly wasn't just Wardenburg. It was amplified, tied to this place. Hoodoo rituals, ancient contamination, or something older, whispering through the water. That evening, as rain lashed the windows, Grace's phone buzzed. An unknown Charleston number. A gravelly voice. "Heard you're asking about the well and Sarah. Stop, or the shadows come for you too." She's still watching. The line went dead. Maya and Grace exchanged looks. The intrigue deepened. Not just history, but a living warning. Elena stood frozen in the center of the Charleston Museum's exhibition hall. The weight of Sarah's restored photograph, pulling at her like an invisible force. The room buzzed with the afterglow of the opening reception. Families chatting animatedly. Historians nodding in approval. Dorothy wiping tears from her cheeks as she recounted one last memory of the nurse with angel eyes. But for Elena, the world had narrowed to that single image. 4-year-old Sarah on the porch steps, her mismatched eyes staring out from 1906 with an intensity that felt alive, almost accusatory. Grace's words echoed in her mind. "This is bigger than we thought." And now, with the velvet box containing Sarah's nursing pin clutched in her hand, Elena felt the first true shiver of something beyond history. Something personal. She slipped away from the crowd, finding solace in a quiet corner near the display case holding Clara Bennett's journal. The glass reflected her own face back at her. Tired eyes, the faint white streak in her dark hair that she'd always dismissed as premature graying. The subtle wideness around her eyes that makeup artists had called unique during her brief modeling days. Grace had noticed it earlier that evening, during their private toast. "You have her look," Grace had said softly, her voice laced with wonder. "The forelock, the spacing. Elena, have you ever been tested?" Elena hadn't answered then. She couldn't. But now, alone with the artifacts, the question clawed at her. Wardenburg syndrome wasn't just Sarah's story. It was hers. Diagnosed at 28, after years of childhood whispers and doctor visits that yielded nothing but shrugs. Rare, they'd said. Genetic anomaly. But no family history, no connections. Her parents, both gone now in a car accident 5 years ago, had been as baffled as she was. Elena had built her life around it. Successful photo restorer, independent, no kids because what if they inherit this? Yet she'd never traced it back further than her own DNA test. A soft cough pulled her from her thoughts. Dr. James Wright approached, his silver hair catching the dim lights, a tablet in hand. "Elena, you all right? You look like you've seen a ghost." She forced a smile. "Maybe I have. James, what are the odds? Sarah in 1906, me in 2026. Same condition, same city now." He glanced at the photo, then back at her. "Genetics don't care about time. Wardenburg is autosomal dominant. 50% chance per child if one parent carries it. But in segregated America, records get lost, families scatter. Your connection to Sarah might be coincidence, or it might not." Elena's phone buzzed. A text from Grace. Meet me in the archive room. Found something in Sarah's letters you need to see. Now. Heart pounding. Elena followed James through a side door marked Staff Only, down a dimly lit corridor lined with dusty boxes and forgotten relics. The archive room smelled of old paper and secrets, fluorescent lights flickering overhead. Grace waited at a long oak table, Sarah's letters spread out like a map to buried treasure. Her face was pale, eyes wide. "Look," Grace whispered, sliding a yellowed envelope forward. It was postmarked the 1947, addressed to "My dearest daughter Ruthie." Elena's hands trembled as she opened it, the paper crackling like dry leaves. "Dearest Ruthie, as you prepare for your wedding, I find myself reflecting on our family's hidden branches. You know the stories of Clara, how she saved me from a world that feared my eyes. But there's more. A secret Clara whispered only on her deathbed in 1928. Your grandmother Ruth, my mother, had a sister born before me in 1904. They called her Eliza, but she didn't survive infancy. Clara delivered her too, saw the same signs, the white lock, the eyes, one blue, one brown. Eliza was sent away, for her safety, to a family in New York. Clara never knew if she lived, but she believed the gene came from her, passed silently through generations. If you ever have daughters, watch for the signs. It's our gift and our curse. Embrace it as I have. Your loving mother, Sarah. Elena's breath caught. New York, 1904. Her own grandmother had emigrated from upstate New York in the 1950s. Vague stories of distant kin in Charleston. The timeline fit. This Eliza, could she be my great-grandmother's sister? Grace, my DNA test showed 12% sub-Saharan African ancestry. Unexpected, since my family always said we were plain white folk from the Northeast. Grace nodded, pulling up her laptop. I ran a quick genealogy search while you were at the reception. Using Sarah's details, it links to a 1904 birth record in Brooklyn. Female infant Eliza, mother unnamed, sent to an orphanage. Adopted out to a family named Hargrove. Elena, your maternal line traces back to Hargroves in Brooklyn. James whistled low. That's no coincidence. The syndrome acted as a marker, preserving the line across racial divides. In Jim Crow South, a light-eyed black child might be hidden or reclassified. Eliza could have been passed off as white, her origins erased. The room spun for Elena. Pieces clicked. Her parents' reluctance to discuss family health. The old photo album with faded southern faces she'd dismissed as thrift store finds. The pull she'd felt toward restoration work, like calling her back to these faces. But as the revelation sank in, a deeper chill settled. Why now? Why this photo? This job? Grace's phone lit up. An email from the museum's digitization team. They finished scanning Clara's full journal overnight. Listen to this entry from 1906, right after Sarah's birth. She read aloud. The child Sarah bears the mark, as did Eliza, before her. But tonight in dream, I saw the eyes multiply, across oceans, through time. The blue eye sees what others cannot. Echoes of lives unlived, futures unwritten. Beware the one who carries both colors. They bridge worlds, but at great cost. The gene is no accident. It's a key. Elena's skin prickled. A key to what? Before anyone could answer, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. Emergency backups hummed to life, casting red glows. A whisper seemed to fill the air. Not voices, but a sensation, like wind through cracked glass. Elena's phone screen glowed unbidden, displaying a photo she'd never taken. Her own face, superimposed over Sarah's, eyes mismatched, a faint outline of Clara behind them. "Earthquake," James muttered, steadying himself. No, the building was still. But on the table, Sarah's nursing pin began to vibrate subtly, spinning slowly on its chain. Grace gasped. "That's impossible." Elena reached for it, her fingers brushing the cool metal. In that instant, the world fractured. Visions flooded her mind, not memories, but futures and pasts intertwined. She saw Eliza in 1920s New York, thriving as a silent film extra, her heterochromia, a gimmick that launched her career, passing the gene to a daughter who fled to Europe during the war. That daughter returned to America, married a soldier, Elena's grandfather, the line complete. But darker flashes. Eliza's orphanage records forged by Clara herself. Whispers of a curse that killed infants before Sarah. Communities shunning families with marked children. And Forward, Elena's unborn daughter. Eyes like Sarah's, unlocking tech that reads genetic memories. Revolutionizing medicine, but unleashing ethical nightmares. She yanked her hand back, the pin stilling. The visions faded, leaving her gasping. It's real, the gene. It's more than syndrome. Clara knew. It's like epigenetic memory, passed down, showing us glimpses. James's eyes widened. Pseudoscience borders real science now. Epigenetics can carry trauma across generations. Waardenburg affects neural crest cells. Maybe it amplifies that. Grace clutched Elena's arm. You're the bridge. Sarah's legacy chose you. Word of the incident spread subtly through Charleston. Dorothy called the next morning. Girl, I dreamed of Sarah last night. She was standing over you, saying, tell her truth sets free. Felt more real than sleep. More witnesses emerged. A museum guard swore he saw shadows in the exhibit hall after closing. Figures from 1906 superimposed over modern visitors. Robert, the 91-year-old, visited the exhibit and collapsed, murmuring about the eyes seeing my sins, before revealing he'd hidden his own sister's similar traits in the 1930s, shipping her to Canada out of shame. Elena dove deeper, partnering with a geneticist friend in Boston. Tests on the pin revealed trace-fied DNA, matching Sarah's descendants and Elena's, but anomalies. Markers suggesting the mutation wasn't random, but an ancient adaptation from Eurasian nomads carried through slave trade routes, amplified in bottlenecked populations. The climax unfolded at Sarah's grave under a full moon. Elena, Grace, James, and Dorothy gathered with shovels, not for desecration, but revelation. Ground-penetrating radar from the museum had pinged an anomaly beneath the headstone, a small metal box, undocumented. They unearthed it carefully, hearts thundering. Inside, a locket with Eliza's infant photo, identical eyes, and a final letter from Clara, dated 1928. To the one who finds this, the eyes are watchers. They see timelines converge. Waardenburg is no curse, but a signal from ancestors who survived ice ages, plagues, separations. The carrier must choose, hide the gift, or wield it. Eliza lives in New York bloodlines. Find her kin, unite the echoes. The blue eye dreams futures, brown anchors past. Together, they rewrite fate. Elena opened the locket, and her vision returned, full force. She saw it all, her own company expanding, restoring marked photos worldwide, crowdsourcing genetic histories, toppling myths of racial purity. But warnings too. Corporations chasing the super gene for enhancement tech, echoing eugenics horrors. As dawn broke, Elena made her choice. No more hiding. She launched the Sarah Project, a non-profit blending restoration, genetics, and oral histories. Exhibitions popped up in NYC, LA, Atlanta, drawing millions, sparking TED Talks, Netflix docs. Families reunited across divides, DNA kits flew off shelves. Yet, the wow lingered. Late nights in her studio, Elena's blue eye would twitch, granting flashes. Her daughter, born with the mark, curing a global plague using inherited visions. Or, darker, wars over enhanced humans. Back in Charleston for the project's first anniversary, Elena stood before a massive mural of Sarah, Clara, Eliza, and herself. Grace hugged her. You did it. Her story lives, Elena smiled, but her eyes scanned the crowd. Among them, a young girl with a white forelock and mismatched gaze met her stare. Not family, yet. The gene called to its own. As the sun set, Elena whispered to the photo. "We're not done." The echoes continue. And in the quiet, the pin in her pocket warmed as if agreeing.